We have in front of us a group of amazing chess players. In that we have Wesley So, Hikaru Nakamura, Fabiano Caruana, Arjun Erigaisi, Sindarov, Bibisara, Vidit Gujrathi, and Vincent Keimer. Vidit is currently analyzing what to do before his game against Magnus Carlsen. But where exactly is Magnus? Where here he is. He's entering in and he obliges all his fans, which is quite interesting because Magnus had a very tough day yesterday against Levon Aronian, and he would be quite upset about the fact that he can no longer fight for the first place in this tournament. He is in the lower bracket, but here he is back in the groove. He looks in his focus mode and he is playing against Vidit Gujrathi. The format is different. We have 30 minutes plus 30 seconds increment, 2 games of chess. And one thing about Magnus always is that he never disappoints young kids who want pictures with him, which is very cool. And one picture with Magnus is of course super inspiring for many youngsters. There he is entering through the back door for the players in Hotel Win. The entire setup for this tournament has been incredible, with fans being able to watch all the action. And there you have Magnus entering in. And Vidit in fact analyzes with all the top players, while Magnus actually did not turn up for this one. He comes in from behind and goes straight to his board. I guess Magnus needs more of mental peace and just believing in himself rather than analyzing, which is why he did not sit together with all the players to analyze. He takes off his jacket. He has the white pieces. In fact, Vidit is black here. And we have a full crowd today. Look at that in the background. So many people have turned up to follow the games. And Vidit comes in his red jacket there. It's a big opportunity for Vidit. After not so great first day of qualification, he gets to play against Magnus Carlsen here. And I think that is an incredible opportunity. You can see, by the way, Magnus putting on his headphones there, just because there could be potentially some noise happening. The handshake. And let's have a look at the position that we have on the board. So we have a knight, a rook, a bishop, king, knight, bishop, queen, and a rook. So how do you open the position? Generally, maybe f4 to activate the queen could be an idea. To play d4 to activate this bishop could be an idea. Vidit also puts in ear plugs, and we are almost about to begin here. The handshake, and Magnus, I'm sure he'll take a bit of time before he plays his move. He goes f3. Very interesting choice by Magnus, not going f4. He attacks the pawn on a7. The knight comes out. c4 played. Now taking here would be an ultimate blunder as the rook is trapped. So Vidit has to tread carefully. Already the position is super sharp after move number 2. He goes f6, taking into control the c4 square. Magnus defends it with b3. And Vidit now plays e5 in the center, a strong move, and Magnus expands with d4. If you take here, the queen is very comfortable on this central square. So Vidit goes d5. Magnus instantly pushes forward with c5. And Vidit comes back with his knight. Now you can see a lot of space being captured here by the white pawn. Vidit goes b4 and queen e6 has been played here. Now Magnus brings his knight into the center. He would love to keep this structure intact because a pawn on c5 limits not only the knight, this knight, also the bishop. He brings his knight to d3. Defending here. Pawn to a5, trying to break down this structure. Takes on a5. Now very important to take back on c5. And I think the position is quite okay. But Vidit makes a huge mistake. He plays BA5. And yes, there's a pin here. But now think about this structure, and Magnus so happy with this development, gets up, because the pawn on C5, as we just mentioned, is very, very powerful in limiting all the black pieces. Vidit gets his bishop out to A6. The queen comes in onto F2. And Magnus just calmly developing everything here. G5. In a way, it's so deceptive, these positions in freestyle chess. You might think that, hey, there's nothing much happening, it looks equal. But because the pieces are placed in a specific way, suddenly you can see all of black's pieces are not really doing much. Pawn to E4 played by Vidit, stopping, by the way, knight F4 with this move G5. And now takes on E4. I believe he will take back with the pawn, attacking the knight here. And knight to B2. I love this move by Magnus. He is looking at the C4 square, and of course the bishops will be traded. But he first goes F5. And bishop C4 attacking the queen. Huge advantage for Magnus. Knight takes C4. All his pieces working beautifully like a charm. He can also castle next. Rook will be activated. And this is the magic of Fischer Random, of freestyle chess. He takes the pawn on A5. It's an extra pawn. And Magnus is like, thank you so much, Vidit. But for Vidit, it's like not a question of pawn. He's trying to finish his development. Short castle has happened, and the rook activates itself down the F file. Vidit goes bishop to G7. His idea is to maybe put some pressure on E3, put some pressure here on D4. But there is a very, very powerful move now, which is to push the pawn to C6, which is what Magnus does. Excellent move. Pawn moves ahead to C6. Now this is hanging. So maybe Vidit would like to first take on B1. He takes the rook. Queen takes B1, taken. And now knight to B6. Very strong move. Yes, he plays his knight to B6. And now a check here looks pretty strong. The king has to move. I mean, king C8 is just very, very... The king is very lonely. The queen will enter from this way and just launch a deadly attack. So going with the king to the king side with king E8 makes sense. But he goes king E7. And now Magnus can already develop with a tempo. He gives a check. And the king goes to F6. Oof. This is not safe. This is not at all safe. Knight jumps to C5, attacking the queen on E6. Knight to C5. He takes. Knight takes C4. And now takes the queen. Vidit gives up the queen. He's hoping that these two pieces is good enough compensation, but it's clear that it's not. Rook F5. What a move by Magnus. If king takes F5, you have G4 followed by queen takes E4. He takes it. And in fact, not just G4. He goes queen F1, attacking the king and the knight. King E6 takes the knight on C4. Magnus just calmly playing this. Out of 30 minutes, he's used only 10 minutes on the clock. He has 20 minutes on the clock. And with it down to 7 minutes, bishop goes to B4. And G4 played. Maybe getting the bishop out here. Materially, Vidit has a rook and a knight for the queen. Now the bishop comes back, defending this. Rook moves to A3, putting pressure. Vidit definitely getting some play here. But Magnus is super sharp. He attacks E4. Rook D3 played right into the heart of the white camp. And now A4. Well, Magnus like, you can attack all my central pawns as much as you want. I'm making a fresh queen here. He pushes A5. And here's the nice point. If you take here, queen D2, there's bishop E3, but there's queen takes E4 with a check. So G3 played by Vidit. And now he takes h takes g3. There's no need to keep that pawn on g3. And now knight takes e3 played, attacking the queen. And queen c1. And you can see there's a pin here. There's also the pawn moving forward. Too many problems for Vidit to solve. And he resigns here. Magnus scores the first win and does so in dominating style. After his loss to Aronian yesterday, I'm sure he was feeling a bit low. But this win definitely pumps up his spirits. A strong win, and now Vidit is in a must-win situation in their next game. I like how they both are analyzing the position after the game. Very cool to see. Vidit Gujrathi now comes back. He is going to face Magnus once again, and it's not an easy task, but he will have white pieces. 30 minutes plus 30 seconds increment. He could potentially force tie breaks if he wins this one. Let's have a look at the position this time. It's bishop, rook, queen, knight, king, bishop, knight, rook. So if you see the 4 pieces on the right, they are like traditional chess, normal chess, and I think that could lead the game into well-known waters there. But it could also be that the players are very keen to play unconventional chess. We'll see how this pans out. The clock has started. Vidit now has to decide his first move. He can go b4, c4, d4, e4. Everything looks good. He goes e4, opening up his bishop. Pawn to b5, supported by the rook. And Vidit goes d3, defending the pawn on e4. c5 played here by Magnus. And Vidit opens up his bishop with pawn to b3. Magnus thinking about how to place his pieces. He goes b4, a very committal move because he is giving up the c4 square. Knight comes to e3. The knight could settle down here. Is Vidit actually going to get an advantage out of the opening against Magnus? That would be something. g3, bishop g2, knight e2, f4 and so on. Yeah, White's plan looks pretty clear here. Vidit starts with knight e2, a good move. And how is Magnus going to meet this? He generally has very, very good ideas. He goes knight to f6, and maybe he wants to play d5 next. Vidit pushes f4. Maybe there were other options with g3 which looked better, but f4 played. And now d5. He pushes his pawn. And pawn to e5. Ooh. The knight can go back to d7, but there's also a counter-attacking move here. d4. Vidit takes the knight. And now Magnus can take the knight as well. D takes e3. Queen takes e3 taken. And I believe g takes f6 looks good. Yes, he takes g takes f6. And now Vidit goes rook g1, a nice move. He's going for g4. I love Vidit's position actually. His pieces are nicely positioned. Queen a6 attacking a2. But it's not an important pawn. You just go g4. Let it go. Here rook c1, and already White is doing very well. But Vidit plays f5. And he is attacking the knight. But I believe he's missed. What he's missed here is that knight can actually move away. Knight c7. And he would have wanted to capture the c5 pawn. But after e5 attacking the queen, queen c7, rook c8. This is already a great position for Magnus. The queen is trapped. So knight c7, he goes c4. Vidit now surprised with Magnus's last move. Makes an inferior choice of playing c4. He's hoping for en passant when he can take back with the knight or with the bishop. But Magnus is like, I'm taking your a2 pawn with it. Tell me what you have for it. The rook is hanging now. The rook goes to d1. And Magnus long castles. Wow. It's a brave move by Magnus. He's just essentially saying to Vidit, I believe in my position. I think that you will not be able to conjure up any attack against my king. Vidit, very brave, going d4. g4 was much better. But now Magnus can actually take advantage of the king on e1. He has to plan it carefully, but e6 is such a cool move by Magnus Carlsen. He opens up his bishop here. F takes e6. I mean, taking with the knight would mean that d5, which shuts down the bishop. So taking back with the pawn makes a lot of sense. And now Vidit, again playing inspired chess, goes for d5. Again, point being that ed5 is met with bishop takes f6. Magnus actually takes it, a mistake. He should have played bishop e7 with a big advantage, but Vidit takes the pawn and he's back in the game. He's fighting here. Vidit Gujrathi attacking both the rooks. And Magnus should tread carefully now. The best move is bishop d6. He plays bishop d6. And now if bishop h8, just simply take rook h8. And Vidit takes it. Rook h8. Magnus is very happy with this position. And now cd5 taken. But can we not simply go rook e8? Magnus thinks for a bit here. The main reason why black is better in spite of being material down is because all of white pieces are just completely inactive. Knight to b5. Look at the place from where the knight is entering. From d4, queen goes to f7, attacking the rook here. And rook to e7. He goes check. King goes to b7, defending the bishop here. And Magnus's understanding of this position is just exquisite. He knows that there is pressure on e2 with the rook and the queen. If he gets the knight in, it is curtains. And he brings his knight to c3. Vidit goes rook g2. Oof, not what he wanted. How he wanted to defend here. But Magnus does this in good style. He goes knight takes d1. Queen d8 played here, attacking d6. But knight e3, beautiful move. If you take queen d6, knight g2 check, and e2 is hanging. Vidit resigns. Magnus Carlsen scores another win here, 2-0 victory. The first game he won in some 34 moves. The second game in just 25 moves. And just dominating play here by Magnus to beat a very strong grandmaster, Vidit Gujrathi. And it just goes to show when Magnus is in the clutch mode, when he's made a decision that he wants to win, he wants to play for a win, very few people can actually stop him. And definitely Vidit was unsuccessful in doing so. But I like this analysis bit where they are trying to analyze the position blindfolded. After the game ended, Magnus was invited for an official interview at the venue, and he did speak to Fiona. This interview you can now hear after this, and you can understand the emotions of Magnus Carlsen at the Freestyle Chess here in Las Vegas.
Yesterday, I felt alright, relatively rested at least compared to other days. And then I don't know, I didn't enjoy the whole process of just being pretty isolated there for many hours and not being like able to talk to Peter or Alba in between rounds and not being able to use my devices and so on. And yeah, what happened then was just like kind of a complete collapse of my nervous system. Yeah, I could have scraped through, of course, with some help, but it would have been completely underserved. So it was a complete collapse. And yeah, sometimes you have one bad day, and I've had that in freestyle before in the preliminaries, but then there's been a bit of a wider margin to get through, and yeah, this time it wasn't.
Do you feel just one day is not enough to have such an important stage?
Yeah, it's okay. Like you have to kind of balance everything, and like it's not an excuse. So like I should make it regardless. But you know, it happens, and I feel like it's been a thing recently that when things are going well, I play really well, and then I'm not really able to sort of change bad trends, and when sort of my nervous system starts collapsing, then it's all quite bad.
Yeah, you had dominant displays in Paris and especially in Karlsruhe. Then in Zagreb recently, you mentioned you didn't really enjoy. Do you feel it's just a bit of a down moment at the moment, and the trend will change again?
Yeah, I mean, I have bad days in pretty much every tournament. It's just, you know, sometimes they happen at inopportune moments, but yeah, I haven't felt like in Zagreb or here at the top of my game, but at least, you know, now that there's zero pressure, that I don't have anything to play for, at least I can maybe enjoy the games a little bit more. Today, you know, more than anything else, I was just trying to play fun chess and play dynamically from the start, and that worked out well. So that's, you know, the advantage of playing freestyle, that even if you don't have anything to play for, it's kind of a little bit easier to play kind of for the love of the game than in some other forms of chess.
Today were fun games, but they weren't that long. There wasn't that much time for you to enjoy them. They were both done quite quickly, but did you take pleasure at the board playing those games today?
Oh yeah, for sure. Like, I mean, under no illusions that, you know, I'm not thinking that everything that I did was correct and so on, but I enjoyed the kind of the process of mucking up the games from early on, and that's kind of what freestyle is here for, right? Just putting pressure on from the start, and you know, I see the others as well, like they're following it, like they're doing better than I am, so I shouldn't, you know, it's working, but like they're all playing kind of the same setup that they've discussed for 10 minutes, and I find that utterly ridiculous. And I imagine people sit at the board and they will think for themselves as well. Like in the last game, for instance, the setup that everybody chose immediately led to a very fine position for black, which I mean it's kind of mind-boggling to me, and I don't think that's the intention of what we do. But yeah, what can I say? It's worked out. That strategy has worked out better than mine has, for sure.
You mentioned you missed yesterday being able to talk to Peter Heine or Ella in between the games. Was it missing being able to talk about the chess, or just in general to be able to get out of the bubble?
Yeah, I just wanted to get out of the bubble, like especially when things start going south a little bit. Then I feel like I'm just, you know, kind of left in my own head a little bit, and it would have been probably a little bit easier to shake off if you know, I could talk to somebody very familiar.
And the final question, you're not the only shock exit into the lower bracket, also Vincent Keimer, who won in Weissenhaus, so we will get a new Grand Slam champion in this event. Who is your money on?
I really don't care.
Was there anyone yesterday who surprised you doing really well?
No, I mean, some people played well, others didn't. It happens.
Magnus, congrats on the win today. Thanks for your time. Good luck tomorrow.
Thank you.